and ladies and gentlemen, and especially the youth from the Kashmiris and Pakistani community. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all here in Danish.
Every year, on 5th February, Pakistanis and Kashmiris from Azad Kashmir and all over the world celebrate Kashmir Day to show solidarity with their Kashmiri brothers.
The British government have subsequently published 2 reports on conditions in Kashmir.
I'm going to speak about hurdles in finding a solution in Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Ambassador, Mr. President of Tehreek, Kashmir, Denmark, honorable speakers, and dear guests. Marking Kashmir Solidarity Day today, right here in the Danish Parliament, we show that we in Denmark stand together with people all over the world to support the Kashmiri people's rightful struggle for self-determination. It is important to make such demonstrations of political, diplomatic, and moral support, to show the people of Jammu and Kashmir that they aren't forgotten, to remind the world of the suffering going on under the continuing and ever worsening Indian occupation, and to keep the pressure on the Indian government.
First of all, it's a great honor for me to be here and recognizing a lot of faces which I have met before. I also know many of you, if not all, have relatives in Kashmir.
I am learning so much today. I must admit that I knew next to nothing about Kashmir because we never hear about it in the news. Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so proud and honored to be invited to speak in front of you today. And as I said, I'm learning so much. I'm just a local councillor, a politician, a candidate. I have no one to write my speeches. So my words today are coming from the heart. They're coming from me, a mother of 3 children.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming here today and showing your support to the people of Kashmir and the terrible situation that they're in. Also a big thank you to the organizers that are behind this event and arranging this conference here in the heart of the democracy, the Danish Parliament. It's a very important statement. Thank you. Let me make this clear. Kashmir is a graveyard for human life.
Thank you for raising this very important agenda. Now, I must say that I was touched by seeing this video, by hearing the stories and the presentations. And they also made me sad. Now, I'm raised in Denmark, and Denmark is a safe place. So even if I cannot imagine how it is to be born and raised in a region where murder, torture, violence is part of daily life, I cannot imagine that. But I can't say this, that it is unacceptable. It should not be tolerated, and it has to stop.
We are first for the conference to be held in this house, and it's the second time Abbas Rizvi, who is a member of parliament right now, sitting beside me. He's 2-time elected region member and he's a member of parliament right now. Please welcome him, Abbas Rizvi.
First of all, I have to apologize. I'm not hit by corona, but I'm hit by a kind of flu. So my voice is a little bit rusty, but I'll still try to make my speech as understandable as possible. But in case some people have told me I'm very good at murmuring, so if I start murmuring, please let me know, okay? Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to extend my thanks and gratitude to Kashmir, Tehreek Kashmir, who has always been very, very active when it comes to the human rights of Kashmir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for being here today. And thank you, Tehreek Kashmir, Denmark, for arranging this important conference, which brings important global attention to the outrageous conditions which Kashmir is exposed to. Plenty of international organizations has already documented the horrific and violent crimes in Kashmir. Prime Minister Modi has shown throughout his entire political career that he is nothing but a fascist acting out crimes against Muslims.
Yes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum to everybody. The challenge of being the last speaker is that almost everything that you like to talk about has already been spoken by others. But I would still go ahead with what I have prepared as my speech. So, first of all, I would like to thank Tehreek Kashmir, Denmark, and their President, Adil Asi, for organizing this event. Tehreek Kashmir, Denmark has been at the forefront of highlighting the Kashmir cause in Denmark, the human rights violations which are being committed against them by the Indian occupation forces. And so we appreciate really the work that they are doing, and I'm sure the Kashmiris also.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have another Danish parliamentary candidate. He's the former mayor of Culture in Copenhagen, co-founder of the Independent Green Party. Please welcome Nico Konrad.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming here today and showing your support to the people of Kashmir and the terrible situation that they're in. Also, a big thank you to the organizers that are behind this event and arranging this conference here in the heart of the democracy, the Danish Parliament. Is a very important statement. Thank you. Let me make this clear. Kashmir is a graveyard for human rights. Thousands upon thousands has been murdered, raped, removed from their homes, or has suddenly disappeared. It is not acceptable. The Indian government is slowly but surely killing the people of Kashmir and replacing them with Indian occupants by the millions. The Indian government, led by Prime Minister Modi, is holding the entire population of Kashmir in a very tight grip. It is not acceptable. It is an occupation. It's a suppression. It's a genocide. It's state terrorism. It's not acceptable. The people of Kashmir have no proper access to food, to medicine, to vaccines. The health system is totally broken, and the Indian government is constantly attacking and shutting down communication. It's not acceptable. Even though a wide array of international organizations, counting Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and even the UN has documented the horrifying crimes against the people of Kashmir and in Kashmir, nothing happens. It is not acceptable. The international society does nothing. It is not acceptable. The European Union says nothing, they're quiet. The UN nation, quiet, says nothing. And even my own government here in Denmark, quiet, says nothing. It's not acceptable. So today, my contributor to this situation in Kashmir and people of Kashmir.
Back the so-called Reorganization Act, cease the occupation and allow for an independent referendum to finally take place. Yes, there is. Because in any situation, no matter how skewed the power balance, or should I say power imbalance, there is a moral tipping point. When a majority of the world's population realize that something horrendously injustice going on. Those scattered calls for action from some corners here and there, like ours today, become a cacophony, a demand for action that governments can no longer overhear, no matter the cost, short-term cost to businesses. Remember South Africa and how the government there was pressured into relinquishing apartheid. It can be done, it takes time, and it calls for everyone to step up. It's about increasing the pressure wherever we can. I've before spoken about the need to create a boycott, divestment and sanctions movement for Kashmir, just as it exists for Palestine. It has to come from within though. So today, my call to the Kashmiri artist, to the Kashmiri journalist I met last year while in Islamabad, was to please do set up a BDS movement that then artists, politicians and business people around the world can begin to sign up to and give their support in this way. Designing to the specifics of the Kashmiri situation, to the reality of the size of India on the world stage, but also to the knowledge that most people when understanding injustice, will feel called to act. Because we have to spread the word about Kashmir until we reach that tipping point of enough people being aware of the situation. It does matter that we talk here today. It matters that we repeat the sentences we've already said before, that we keep describing the horrors on the ground, that we keep calling for cessation of the tyranny. It matters that we speak here exactly in the Danish Parliament, and thank you to Abbas Rizvi for organizing this, because it can be quoted that Kashmir was spoken up for in the Danish Parliament, and not just on a street corner, even if it's the same words. Places matters, places of power matters. So let me end this speech asking rhetorically, as I have before, are we ready to let the Indian government continue to blatantly breach international law and change the demographics of Jammu and Kashmir before they get a chance to vote and show their self-determination? Or will the Danish government make its voice heard bilaterally, as well as in the European Union and United Nations, to call on the Indian government to stop their breaking international law and immediately reinstate the special status of Jammu and Kashmir and ensure the Kashmiri people's right to decide their future via the referendum they've been promised for more than 70 years. Today, rather than tomorrow. If all keep speaking up for Kashmir, I have no doubt that one day we will be heard. Thank you.
And President of Climate Council, working for women's rights, please welcome Ms. Louise Mende.
Thank you very much, Adil. I am learning so much today. I must admit that I knew next to nothing about Kashmir because we never hear about it in the news. Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so proud and honored to be invited to speak in front of you today. And as I said, I'm learning so much. I'm just a local councillor, a politician, a candidate. I have no one to write my speeches. So my words today are coming from the heart. They're coming from me, a mother of 3 children. We know so much. We know so much more than we did 75 years ago, yet we still haven't found a solution for Kashmir. The Kashmir crisis is one of the oldest unresolved international problems in the world. The experience of nearly 7 decades has shown that it will not go away, and that effort is urgently required to resolve it on a long-lasting basis. The unresolved dispute in Kashmir already caused 2 wars in not so remote past between India and
the most merciful. I, Ashfaq Abdali, the General Secretary of Tehreek Kashmir, Denmark, welcome you today. Thank you very much for sparing the time to come over on a weekend and join us to highlight some matters of immense importance. First of all, some practical information. The emergency exit is the same way as it came in. The washrooms are just outside the hall on the right hand side. There's a gentleman sitting here who will guide you. So first of all, we will start this occasion with some recitation from the Holy Quran. And I will invite you to welcome Umayya.
Dear friends, colleagues, members of this Parliament, Your Excellency, and distinguished delegates. It's a great honor to be in the company of such influential people who can access to influence this conflict directly and indirectly from various platforms. I was invited here to give you a brief update and insight on the work that the UN is doing in Kashmir. I work in close collaboration with the UN for the Institute for Human Rights. Can you hear me? Okay. I was saying I work in close collaboration with the UN for the Institute of Human Rights in Copenhagen. And looking back on the last 3 years, it may seem as if the development has been small in relation to finding a solution to this conflict. In fact, it's a fact that the situation has been worsened since the release of the 2018 UN Commission report. When this report was published, there were high expectations for its recommendations. Amnesty International and British government have subsequently published 2 reports on conditions in Kashmir. It's been a huge challenge to maintain the conflict as an important issue on the international agenda, despite the severe socio-economic crisis which the area is affected by. The area is right now in double lockdown, there's a curfew, and an average of over 100,000 human rights violations and crimes against humanity are committed per year. It may seem that the UN has ignored the conflict, as the corona pandemic has overshadowed and been the biggest global challenge for the last 2 years. However, this is not the case. Much of the work of the Kashmir conflict takes on behind closed doors these days. Keeping the positive corona development in consideration, neither the UN nor the EU can postpone a solution to the area much longer. The UN Secretary General receives monthly fact sheets from the peacekeeping forces on recorded crimes, deaths, bloodsheds, rapes, abductions, forced persecutions, encounters, the list is long. And in fact, genocide. Denmark has currently 5 observers posted in the area. India has not made it possible to follow the UN recommendations, and no referendum has been held in Jammu Kashmir, as there's still a majority of Muslims in the area. You can be wondering where the UN is helping right now then. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is leading the work to protect, assist and find solutions for people forced to flee their homes. UNICEF does a huge job of social work for the vulnerable children and women. The UN World Food Programme is trying to provide food, medical help, aid, warm clothing, blankets, etc. due to the winter. One might ask, what is in pipeline? Well, thankfully, there's a form of truce right now in these days, but the question is whether or not it's the silence before the storm. China is currently negotiating a common front against the West. And on the international stage, it can no longer be ignored that China is also a party to this conflict in Kashmir. Insights have begun to come from all over the world, and it is our duty to contribute to putting these issues back on the agenda. There must be a prosecution for those responsible so that they can be charged and convicted of the crimes they commit against humanity. I have a request to everyone in this room that we together find all the strength needed to create a free Kashmir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. And thank you for raising this very important agenda. Now, I must say that I was touched by seeing this video, by hearing the stories and the presentations. And they also made me sad. Now, I'm raised in Denmark, and Denmark is a safe place. So even if I cannot imagine how it is to be born and raised in a region where murder, torture, violence is part of daily life, I cannot imagine that. But I can say this, that it is unacceptable. It should not be tolerated, and it has to stop. I think every decent human, and also just simple, every political institution, every decent political institution should back this measure. It's not acceptable. It should not be tolerated. It has to stop. And I know that the subcommittee on human rights in the European Parliament has actually endorsed this message. But it was in 2019. I'm glad for that, but it was in 2019, and it was just a start, and this fight has to continue. The European Parliament must take up the voice of the European citizens, because this is about basic human rights. Basic human rights. And the EU has to promote and defend basic human rights. Now the EU is not strong on hard power, but the EU are indeed strong on soft power. And Jens was talking about trade treaties. And the EU trade treaties is a very important tool if we use them right. And if we use them right, we can actually make this world a better place. But our trade treaties must be clear, crystal clear, and simple, facing murder, torture, and violence. So what's next? Next step is that the European Parliament urges the European Commission to draft a human rights doctrine in the EU trade policy. And that policy should be crystal clear on human rights against the struggle on murder, torture, and violence. It's not acceptable. It should not be tolerated, and it has to stop. Well, I start saying that the stories and the presentation makes me sad, but actually being here also gives me a bit of hope. Because being in a room with so many people who are willing to step up, who are willing to stand up, that gives me hope. Because that takes a lot of courage and patience. Thank you. Thank you.